This is number 2 on the geometry homework for the CERNA on September 9th. We're given these two angles. It says use the angles to answer the questions below. Part A, is the angle pair above complementary, supplementary, or neither? Use a geometry tool to determine. We've got two tools that we're going to be using. The first one is my trusty tracing paper. Now, just a reminder, for complementary, remember that complementary means that your angles are adding up to 90 degrees. So what we want is to see that we're creating a right angle. We're going to have two angles that are connecting to create a right angle. Or supplementary means they're adding up to 180 degrees. So complementary again was 90 degrees. Supplementary means they're adding up to 180 degrees total, where you have, if you have them connected and adjacent, they're going to make this straight line together. So we're seeing if one of these happens or maybe neither one happens at all. Now my tool again that I'm going to start with is my tracing paper. I'm going to start by tracing that top angle. Now it doesn't matter, you don't have to trace a ton of the angle, as long as your pen works. Just enough to where you can slide it to match up with this second angle. Okay. And then I'm going to trace also on the bottom. There we go. So now I've got my first angle moving around. Now again, when we connect to that bottom angle, we want them adjacent, we want them connected like this little tiny drawing. So this is not what you want to do. You don't want part of the angle inside. What you want is that two of these sides overlap like this. That's the kind of connection we're looking for. Now it's connected. If you look at this entire angle, it looks like it's almost 90 degrees, but it looks like it's a little bit up too, so it's a little more than 90. And it's definitely not going straight across. So this one is actually going to be neither. So we're going to say neither here because it did not make either 90 or 180 together. Now before we look at explaining the method or the reasoning in part A, I'm going to use the second tool, which is a protractor, as long as I can find one. I can have one right away. Just be patient. Okay, took a second. There's my protractor. Okay. Now, that again was one method, tracing, moving around, connecting together. And that method is only really helpful if you know what the pictures look like, if you know exactly what complementary and supplementary are. Now, if you know complementary is 90 and supplementary is 180, you can use the protractor. So I'm going to highlight the vertex, and I'm going to line it up like this. I have my vertex right here. There's my straight line going through the bottom. And it looks like it's going right out to, it looks like 60 and 120, but remember when the bottom of your angle is going to the right, your angle is opening up this way, which means it's getting larger, which means you're using these bottom numbers, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So this angle looks like it's going to be 60 degrees. Now I go to this angle. Do the same thing. I measure. Line that up. Same way over here. Now I'm opening this way, which means I'm not using these big numbers on the bottom. Since I'm starting to the left, I'm opening up this way. I'm using these top numbers, 10, 20, 30, and it looks like we're lining right up on 40 degrees. So we've got 60 degrees and 40 degrees. So now I can just take those two numbers and add them together. I'm adding to see if I either get 90 or 180. 60 plus 40 is 100 degrees. It's not matching either one, so that still works for my answer for part A of neither. Now for the explain your method, for this part, I'm not going to write it all out, but you would be explaining either I use the protractor and the measurements add up to 90, 180, or neither, or you're writing that you use the tracing paper to match them up and they did not create a 90 degree angle or a 180 degree angle. And there's your measurement practice on number 2.